All right, shalom, shalom. First off, we want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Machakodash. We want to give double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS who have taught us this word and teach us this word today. And we want to give a salutation unto the elect of the nation of Israel. This is the brother Yatazakba here with
Yakal Lamath,
Kawashab
Khan, and this is GMS Fort Nebraska. And in this lesson, we wanted to go into Esau's greed, stemming from a discussion between me and the brother Kawashab, just speaking on different characteristics of Esau's evil, and what drives him to do the wickedness that he does in the earth today, and how those characteristics will ultimately lead to his downfall, us brothers was just speaking on different aspects of Esau's greed and how he carries it out to do wicked actions. And we wanted to get into a couple things, really speak on the situation in Venezuela, and Lord willing, the lesson is edifying. Okay. But is that a precept to start with, or?
Nah.
Okay, well, we can start with Obadiah chapter 1, verse 5, Baba Shah.
Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 5. It says, "If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes?" And
this is talking about Esau himself, the so-called white man who rules over this world today. When we look at his different policies that he sets up, when we look at his the different things that he does, he takes and takes and takes until there's nothing left. Is to the point to where now Esau wants to own the human race. He has to have everything. Money ain't a thing for him no more. It's resources, and now it's gonna be people. He got to have everything in his hand. What we're gonna go into today is just one small example in the wide scope of the lengths that Esau is willing to go to carry out his greedy nature.
Can I read this next verse in light of what you're speaking on? Verse 6. Yeah. It's and just to further back up, proving who this is, as the brother was mentioning, says verse 6: "How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up?" The brother's gonna get into it, but in light of what we were dialoguing about, you have individuals that come out and they expose the narrative that Esau truly has before he does a thing. Now they'll Esau Edom, he'll paint the picture as being the good guy, or pretty much he can do no wrong. But then once the information start coming out, it's like, oh, that's his true notion towards whatever it is that he plans on doing. And most of the time it comes out to be evil works behind the scenes. But yeah, that's it.
Khan, so we want to get into this situation in Venezuela, which is just an example. This is just a base of what the type of stuff that Esau does, where we look at what Trump is doing. He's sending the military. He's destroying drug boats, and he's saying it's because what he says is drug smuggling boats, and he's saying he's doing these things because Venezuela is sending drugs to the country, and they have to send the military down there to stop Maduro from doing these different evil actions. They and that's not really what that situation is about. It's really about Venezuela's oil, and thanks to the brother here you call, he found a great video that touches on this topic, and I have some notes from the video that I wanted to go into of just the history behind Venezuela and America. And
you want me to read it?
Yeah, you can read it. And as a matter of fact, I can, Baba Shah, can you just look up the Monroe Doctrine? And I just have you just grab certain points out of it as we go, and we can bring out some precepts in the midst of bringing it out. But when you go to the beginnings of America's ties with Venezuela, there was a legislation that America passed called the Monroe Doctrine, which was created in 1823. And this brother's going to grab that Monroe Doctrine.
Okay.
And we can just grab something short that just says what the purpose of it is.
Okay. I'm gonna get the chat real quick.
Okay.
So I got the purpose of the Monroe Doctrine. And this is from the chat. It says the purpose of the Monroe Doctrine, 1823, was to protect the newly independent nations of Latin America and to assert U.S. influence in the Western Hemisphere by keeping European powers out.
Right. So when you go into this doctrine, basically they say that it was to stop European colonization. You know, when it let America tell the story, and it was so that they could protect these Latin countries. But truly what it was about is the US made a deal with Europe that the US would stay out of Europe's territory and let them do the business that they was doing in their portion of the world, and Europe would leave the US alone and let them do what they was doing over here. So they say it was to protect from Europe colonization, but it was truly so that the U.S. could do their own colonization, so that they could do their own different things, and leave Europe out of it. You know,
I got a precept for you.
Baba Kusha.
This is Psalms chapter 55, verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart.
Right, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. They sound good. It sounds like on face value with no context when you hear him speak. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That's a good thing. But it says war was in his heart. That's why the scriptures say, never trust thine enemy. For like his iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Even though he may come and seem like he's being peaceable, like he's being a good person, it says Satan is transformed into an angel of light. You know?
John, his words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
Right. Baba Gashar, brother, can you bring out what you were speaking about before the lesson when you was talking about this same play that Esau did with the Spaniards?
Oh, Khan, yeah, because over here in the Americas, you had the Spaniards colonizing, and basically, I forget which European country it was exactly, but they came over here and offered protection.
Onto the natives, right?
Onto the natives, yeah, but ultimately they just ended up colonizing, I believe it was Puerto Rico. You know, and Puerto Ricans, you know, in that island, they were serving slavery to the Spaniards and then ended up serving slavery to the Americans. You know, and that's why to this day it's still an American territory. You know, they're not really a state, but they also not really independent either.
But they made it seem like, oh, we about to stop the Spaniards from colonizing y'all. We about to protect y'all. But it was really so that they could just do it themselves.
Yeah, sugar cane. That's what it was. You go into sugar cane. They basically were exporting so many tons a year out of Puerto Rico, man. But it was really that colonization, that forced slavery.
God. So now we can get into the Roosevelt corollary, because that was basically stemming from the Monroe Doctrine. It started off, the U.S. saying Europe stay out of it, protections, so to speak. But the Roosevelt corollary was legislation that built upon that initial document.
We'll get to the Roosevelt corollary. It says was an extension of the Monroe Doctrine announced by President Theodore Roosevelt in 1904. While the Monroe Doctrine 1823 said Europe must not interfere in the Americas, the Roosevelt corollary added that the United States itself could intervene in Latin American countries if necessary to maintain order and stability.
Right. So now they're saying, okay, first we're just about to stop Europe from doing their colonization. It's seeming like they're making this to have Latin countries have their own peace and do their own thing. But now with this document, they're saying, okay, now we can step in if deemed necessary. Now, what is the rules on what's deemed necessary? It's whatever Esau wants to say that the rules is that it can be deemed necessary. Right. It basically established the U.S. as a police power. It established the U.S. as an international police power, to where if they see something going on in another country and they like, we don't like that, or if they see another country and they see that they can opportunistically benefit from them, they can make up a situation and say we need to go over there and do something about that so that they can sink their claws into that country. That's what it's really about. Babu Kashad, can we grab Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 5?
This is book of Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 5. It says, yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people.
Right. It says he neither keepeth at home. We see that we got U.S. military bases in all these countries around the world, always in some other country's business. When you like, man, what the U.S. got to do with this? They don't got nothing to do with it, But that's Esau's spirit. It says, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. And that's what it all stems down to. We're about to get into the aspect of Esau's greed, because that's what it's about. He gotta have his portion, even at your expense, even at creating a lie so that you can be a part of his system. I gotta have this though, So that was really the point with the Roosevelt corollary, and just brought those things out to show that it was never about protection. It was never about justice. It was about U.S. control.
Yeah, and even looking at the chat, just on the heels of that, it said that with these, with this Roosevelt corollary and this Monroe Doctrine, it caused a lot of resentment in Latin America. You know what I'm saying? So you had a lot of pushback. They didn't. At the end of the day, they don't want you there. And you like the brothers going into Esau he's going down. He established these doctrines for his own personal cause, and through the spirit they recognize it. You know what I'm saying? That these motherfuckers just want power. They just want to take over. Which is Esau. And look at what he's doing today. Trying to do, like the brother mentioned, doing it with the whole world. That's what he's trying to do with the whole world now, be it through this the device.
Yeah,
okay?
con.
On a grandiose scale.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it.
And can we grab Isaiah chapter 10 verse 1, Babu Kashad?
This is Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed.
Right, it says, woe unto him that decree unrighteous decrees. That's what this Monroe Doctrine, this Roosevelt corollary, because the thing is, the U.S., it seems like they just do these brazen actions and they just come in and do something crazy, but there's history behind it. There's legislation that they wrote behind it. There's things, there's context. And right here, we're looking at the context. It's these laws that they write. It's these decrees, and they're unrighteous. There's no reason why the U.S. Should insert themselves and say, you know what, Latin America, we're gonna insert ourselves as the power that you need when anything's going awry, and we're gonna come in and set everything straight. They didn't ask for that. The U.S. just said we gonna do it. And what was Latin America gonna do? Fight them about it? They couldn't, because the U.S. had too much power. Yeah. But it says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. There's destruction that comes at the end of that, and that's really the moral of the story. We're gonna get more into it, but to keep it short, Esau is gonna be destroyed for these different things that they do. This his wicked traits, this wickedness that he does is gonna lead to his destruction. This is gonna come back on his head eventually. But so yeah. Was there more to that in that chat that you want to grab?
No. That you pretty much covered it.
Okay.
Summarize it. I just wanted to bring up that last little point in there.
Okay, con. So when did this say the Roosevelt corollary was written?
Let me see. I believe 1904.
1904.
Yep, 1904.
Con, because a couple years later, in 1908, you had the U.S. Militarily intervened in Venezuela to help a Venezuelan dictator come up to power by the name of Juan Vicente Gomez. And so bringing this dictator into power, he basically was, he had ties with the U.S. And what he did was that he gave the U.S. oil companies and Europe's oil companies access to Venezuelan oil. Now the thing is, Venezuela is a large producer of oil. You know, if I'm not it's like you had something.
No. I was just agreeing with you.
What place does Venezuela rank in oil reserves in the world?
All right. I'll check real quick. Says it says Venezuela ranks first in the world for proven oil reserves.
There we go.
Holding approximately 303 billion barrels as of 2023.
There we go. You know, and so throughout the years, as there would be one dictator that will fall and another dictator rose up, the U.S. would make sure that dictator was in their pocket. In the 1950s, you had another Venezuelan ruler that kept the oil flowing to the U.S. And by the 1970s, Venezuela was the top oil suppliers to the U.S. Now, Babu Kasha, can you ask the chat, why is crude oil so important? You know, because this is really going to highlight the greed and the reason why Esau is doing all this.
So in the chat, why is crude oil so important? It says crude oil is important because it's the foundation of the modern world's energy system and economy. Mm-hmm. Here's a clear breakdown of why it matters so much. Major source of energy. I'll just read the categories off.
Okay.
Major source of energy. Key raw material and manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
Economic power.
Yeah.
Strategic and political importance. Transition and future importance.
Can we get more into that economic power? Because the thing with crude oil is the reason why we have over 90% of the things that we use in our everyday life, down to the phones that we have in our hand right now, the TVs that we watch almost every day, you know, our cars, you know,
plastic containers,
mm-hmm. The fertilizer that grows all the food, you know, the fruits and vegetables we get at the supermarket, mm-hmm. you know, all these different things, it uses this oil.
So getting into that a little bit more into the economic power, it says oil is one of the most traded commodities in the world, influencing global markets and national economies. Countries rich in oil like Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, and the U.S. often have major geopolitical influence. Mm-hmm. Oil prices affect inflation, transportation costs, and food prices globally. That's all it has for it.
Okay. I thought it would say more, but you know, jets, ships.
Want me to look more into it?
Yeah, if you can, just I had some things here, but if we can get more from the chat, Babu Kasha, just what it says that oil is used for.
Okay.
You know, but when we talk about jets, when we talk about ships, rockets, you know, all these different things, they need liquid fuels, and oil is that fuel that it uses. You know, all this different global transport, these heavy diesel trucks that ship, you know, goods from one place to another, you know, it all uses oil. Mm-hmm. You know.
Even stuff in the food, like these red 40, yellow, you know, all these different additives, you know.
So it did give a little bit more. I just typed in the economic power concerning crude oil. It says, number one, it says source of national wealth. Mm-hmm. Countries with large oil reserves like Saudi Arabia, the U.S., Russia, Venezuela, and Iraq earn billions of dollars from oil exports. Oil revenues often fund government budgets, infrastructures, and social programs. For example, Saudi Arabia's economy depends heavily on oil exports from public spending. Mm-hmm. Venezuela's entire economy once relied on crude oil income under Juan Vicente Gomez and later governments.
Yep.
It gives more categories, but that was,
Yeah, so that leads back into, you know, what we were speaking about before. You had all these dictators that was on the U.S. side, but eventually there came the current ruler of Venezuela, Maduro. Now the thing with Maduro is that he wasn't on the same type of time that these previous rulers was on. He was with He was socialist. He wasn't with the whole capitalist movement that the U.S. was on. He was anti-imperialist. He was basically like a communist in a way. And you know how U.S. get when it comes to communism, you know. So he was already against the U.S. and he started reshaping how Venezuela would deal with their oil to where he was becoming more like I don't want to say stingy, but he wasn't just giving it out how these previous rulers was, you know. And so this leads to today to where now we see that Maduro, not only was he not giving out his oil how he was before, but now he's giving out his oil to U.S. competitors such as China, such as India, and these different places. And this is going into Esau's greed. This is going to his covetous nature. He see that all these other people is getting that resource, getting them riches that they was once getting, and they like, nah, we can't have that. You know, y'all brothers had a...
I got a precept for you. Isaiah chapter 5, verse 8. Woe to them that join house to house, that lay field to field, till there be no place, that they may be placed alone in the midst of the earth.
Woe to them that place house to house, that join field to field. You know, hey, we see Esau do that with all these different houses that they got in these neighborhoods where it's house after house after house after house. And it's like that in all these different cities and towns all across America. To where now they saying that is, you know, things is overpopulated, but you condensing the population into these different places, so it's overcrowded, not overpopulated. You know, but you own all these different apartments, you own all these different neighborhoods, you know, all these different fields that you join together. It's not where people own their own fields now and they self-sustain themselves. No, they're going, they pay bills to you, they pay rent to you, and you own all of this, and now you're at the top of the food chain behind it. You had a point?
Yeah, no, that's it.
Con, but I forgot what I was saying before.
Basically that greed, you know.
Oh yeah, seeing how Venezuela isn't giving them that oil no more, but we see, based off that scripture in and of itself, Esau want all that flowing into where he wants it to be flowing to him. You know, that don't work that you send it into all these other countries. No, we need that. Now here's the thing that really stands out about his greed in this scenario. If the U.S. loses all of their GDP that they get from Venezuelan oil profits, which is $19 billion, based off of what I looked up, it says $19 billion is what they would lose. Can we look up the U.S. GDP, Babu Shah?
The U.S. GDP is 29.8 trillion as of 2024.
So the U.S. GDP is 29.8 trillion.
It's like 29.18 trillion.
29.18 trillion. The U.S. losing them $19 billion off that GDP is less than 0.1% from the total GDP that they get from the economy. That right there shows you the dramatic, like, they're not even losing that much money. And Trump is going as far as to send his military down there and try to raise a coup against Maduro. You know, threatening him so that he can either continue to go back to give him that oil, or depose of him, set somebody else up so that they can get that oil back. You got something?
Yep, it's Sirach 14 verse 9. It says, a covetous man's eye is not satisfied with his portion. And the iniquity of the wicked drieth up his soul. Right,
like you got all these riches, and you losing not even 1% of it, and you losing your mind on this level. Now here's the thing: if they were to lose Venezuela's oil altogether, there is a difference that we would see in our pockets, but it's not dramatic. You know, we would see gas prices rise a bit. We would see things get a little bit more expensive in markets and things of the sort, but it's not like we would see famine. It's not like everything would crash. There would be slight differences. Truckers would probably would complain, things would go up, but we would survive.
It would be gradual changes.
It would be gradual, and it would cap off at a certain point. We would get oil from other places. You know what I'm saying? But the U.S., the way that they are reacting to it. You would think that the world is ending based off of this oil that they losing. Based off of this 0.1% of the economy that they losing. This is the lengths that they willing to go.
Yeah, I got a real interesting entry here in the Anime Online, the etymology of the word covetous. All right, going into it, it says inordinately desirous to obtain and possess, avaricious, desirous, and just kind of going down. I saw a really interesting point. It says covetousness, the desire of possessing more than we have of any good thing whatsoever, of which we have already enough for our uses, adding house to house and field to field. It is much more connected with pride.
Dang, that's crazy. They quoted that scripture, that adding house to house and field to field. And it's much more connected with pride, because it comes to a point to where it's not about the money. It's not about, dang, if I lose this, I'm going to be hurting. It's about the fact that you don't have it. And people see that, and it's like, oh, Venezuela once gave that to them, and now they're giving it to somebody else. That's what it's about. It's about the fact that you're losing at all, not about the value of it. That's wicked, bro.
That's wicked, man.
That's
Like, there's even more to that. It says, but more with restlessness of mind and desire of novelty. Damn.
Well, what does it say? Restless of mind or what?
But more with restlessness of mind and desire of novelty.
Like, you just like, man, this
You gotta have it all, man.
You gotta have it all.
You gotta have it all. But that's just like what the brother brought out, Obadiah. You know, would they not leave some grapes? You know, he wants it all. Baba Kushah, I just want to finish this last part to this. Get it back to you. Sirach 14:10. It says, a wicked eye envieth his bread, and he is a niggard at his table.
A wicked eye envieth his bread. He like, man, nah, some of this bread is gone. Or if he sees somebody, he like, hey, can I have some? And he got all this bread. But they like, because they try and take one of your loaves, you like, nah, bro, because you gonna, if he takes something, he gonna start taking something. And it ain't even all that. It ain't even all that. It says he's a niggard at his table, which means he's stingy. He's selfish.
Exactly.
Can't share. You know?
He just he acts like a single. What they say. You got the single child that has no siblings. That's how Esau Edom as. So when he gets around somebody else, he don't know how to. No, that's mine. That's my toy. You know, that's my this, my that. You know, so yeah.
But that's the thing, because America is used to being that bully. America is used to being that one that holds the power. No, we are the last say. So when we look at even the Roosevelt corollary, these different legislation they wrote, they basically say, no, we're in charge of Latin America. But when you have somebody that's going against that legislation that you wrote, and now they're doing deals with other people, then that hurts your pride. That hurts your ego. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
That's why the scriptures talk about them being like children. You know?
What is that? What say? Children rule over thee. That's one you're referencing?
Children rule over me. Them that are younger than I have me in derision.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah, and so this is what we wanted to highlight this to show how far Esau is willing to go, and how what drives him to do the wickedness that he does, because now he's at the point to where he's willing to wage war because of this small profit that he lost. Now he's spreading this lie and painting this Venezuelan leader as evil, and he's bringing drugs to our country. If it was about drugs, then there wouldn't be no drug crisis in the U.S. There wouldn't have fentanyl all over the streets. You wouldn't be able to buy these drugs from these different stores that you're able to buy them from. If it was about drugs, then the U.S. wouldn't have passed that law. I forget which state it was in, but they passed that law to where they have vending machines where you can buy crack pipes and these different things.
That was up in New York.
Like, why? Yeah. If it's about drugs, then why does that exist?
And it was gone within an hour.
Like, come on, bro. Like,
set up dispensaries all over the place. These different weed shops and things like that. Well, if it was about that, you would completely take that out of the way.
Wouldn't people be able to buy cigarettes and these different things?
Cigarettes,
if it was about drugs. But that's the thing. We know that's not about drugs, because drugs is something that keeps profit in Esau's pocket. Drugs is a large amount of the money that Esau gets. So no, it ain't about no drugs. He wouldn't dare to try to shut that whole business down. But he's gonna say we need to stop Venezuela because they sending drugs into our country and they're making our country a worse place. No, you just want control over them.
And did all that bombing without any proof.
Exactly.
You just knew those boats were from Venezuela, and you know that Maduro has a past of, he doesn't have a clean history, so to speak. Right? He's a so-called criminal, but he ain't. You still got to give somebody what's that term? You pretty much got to investigate a situation before you judge. I forget the exact term.
Innocent until proven guilty.
Innocent until proven guilty, but there's another term.
Due process.
Due process. They didn't get a chance to due process. You just bombed them out the water, and then they don't get a chance to explain themselves. No, we ain't got no drugs.
We ain't got no drugs.
You just blowing them up, and now he was dead man can't talk. We're gonna blow them out the water, transporting drugs.
Yeah.
So this is the devil, man.
So if unless y'all brothers had anything else, I had one more precept that we can grab before closing the lesson out.
I didn't have anything else. There were a couple of precepts that we had.
I was thinking about that Jeremiah 51:13.
Okay. Jeremiah 51 verse 13. It says, "O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness."
Who is that dwellest upon many waters? That's speaking about America. What's that? There's a precept in Revelation that talks about the waters, right? How it's many peoples and.
Read this in Revelation 7.
Let me see.
I believe.
Revelation 17 and 15. I'll just grab it real fast.
Okay, come.
It says, "And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues." And we see how what do they call America? The great melting pot. You have all these different peoples and nations and all these different cultures and religions here in this place, and America, I won't say harbors, but that's what it is. All these people are amongst America. Yeah. It says, "Oh thou," so like we can get back to that Jeremiah. Read it again, Babu Shah.
I dropped it going to that precept. I got you. Jeremiah 51 verse 13. It says, "O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures."
Abundant in treasures. You have riches. You have the number one economy in the world. What? You got it.
Yeah, because the next one behind them was like China, and their GDP was like 18.9, and that's the closest one behind America with the 29.18 trillion.
There's 9 trillion more that you got.
Then it says, "Thine end is come." And the measure of thy covetousness.
Thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness. And this is going back to what we were speaking about. The Lord is going to bring a judgment upon Esau for all his wicked nature. It's getting to the point to where, Trump is making an abrasion with World War III tensions over this whole situation with this oil. Where we see that now Russia and China are openly sending Venezuela hypersonic missiles and defenses and things to defend themselves against U.S. incursion. Yeah. We see you was mentioning before the lesson that you had the military set up.
Venezuela. There was news coming out how they pretty much they were setting up troops. I believe it was like 25,000 troops, either 25,000, 250. I know it's 25 something, but yeah, they were ready. They're ready to go to war because they know that you're fucking with them without a true cause.
And we know that these people is allied with Russia. We know that these people is allied with China. And the thing is, whether it's from this situation or another, we know for sure that America is going to be destroyed in World War III.
That's it.
And the scriptures prophesy. We know that they're going to be destroyed in World War III. And this situation is exacerbating it. this could die down. We don't know. You know, the scriptures say that, you know, roughly paraphrasing, these prophecies take place, and they said measure that they're supposed to take place.
Yeah.
You know, it may not come from the situation, or this may be a cause of it getting worse. But we know that the Lord is going to bring judgment upon Esau for the wickedness that they do, like this situation, and like hundreds and thousands of other situations of them doing wickedness, and there's so much. This is just one occasion, but there's so much that Esau has done over these years of their greed, of their pride, of the things that they've done against the nation of Israel, of the evils that they've done against this earth, all in the name of Esau being in power, all in the name of Esau having possessions, all in the name of him being against Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, you know.
And I want to bring out real quick that word covetousness in that scripture the brother just read, going into the Greek. It's besa, and the definition is profit, unjust gain, profit acquired by violence.
Yep.
Profit acquired by violence. You know, like, man, hey, it speaks for itself. You know? You had something?
Just real quick. Yeah. Okay, can you read the end of that the covetousness again, brother?
Khan. Yeah, it's besa. It means profit, unjust gain, profit acquired by violence.
And so I was just looking up, because I mentioned I was talking to the brother about it the other day. You know, like the time where they went to Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was another way that they acquired, tried to acquire something by violence, because as we did read, you know, Iraq, they have a good supply of oil as well. Not as much as Venezuela, of course, but that their tactic, America, that is, their tactic to go down there and get those resources was say, oh, they got weapons of mass destruction. Mm-hmm. So that they gave them liable cause, so to speak, to go there and invade them and get what's his name, Saddam Hussein out of there. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, America always tries to acquire things by violence. Look at America's rap sheet. Mm-hmm. That's why it says in Revelation, the 18th chapter, that her sins have reached unto heaven. And that's just one chapter of America's bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? Touching the apple of the Most High's eye is the first. Mm-hmm. Right? But, you know, point being said is that America's covetousness is what's going to lead to them being destroyed in a dramatic fashion. But yeah, that's
one of the things. One of the things is going.
One of the things. That's it. One of the things. Because hey, your sins reach the heavens. Mm-hmm. You have to do a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Hey, another point, like the brother was saying, is sin stacking to heaven, touching the apple of the Lord's eye. You know, back when the natives here were being put through slavery. All right, I was reading some of the history, and basically, the work conditions were so bad that a lot of them started dying to the point where they needed a replacement. And so now they went and got the Southern Kingdom over there from Africa to come replace the natives that they were killing through these hard slaveries, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
A normal person would think, oh, okay, maybe we're being too harsh. Nah, let's get more slaves. You see? That covetousness, man. They're never satisfied.
Remember, your days are numbered. Hey, it says, the scripture says that his days are counted with the Most High, roughly paraphrasing from the book of Job. You know, so it says that the appointed days or something to that nature.
You can't go over it.
Yeah, you know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, your time is coming to an end, America, Babylon, right? But yeah, that's all I have to say out there.
So yeah. Hey, with that being said, once again, we want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS, and a salutation unto the elect. Hey, shalom.
Shalom.